how you made me. Razor blades in my mouth, walking around behaving. All demented, black hoodies and Timberlanded, always scheming. You see the game on that nigga's pendant. Hello, Brooklyn, you bad influence.
So, I'm from Brooklyn, born and raised. I love Brooklyn. And Brooklyn is hands down the best borough in the universe. We all know that. So I dedicate this talk to Brooklyn and all the Brooklynites out there that are watching. I also dedicate this talk to God, because God is good. So in Brooklyn, I got to live in the same brown apartment building for the first 21 years of my life. My parents are Latino immigrants, and they kept me in a bubble for the first 21 years until I graduated college. I was the first child to graduate college and the only child to graduate college. And as soon as I did, I was released. And I set off to create a bubble of awesomeness. And since then, I have learned, or started to learn, the power to create. So let's talk about it. My name is Maritza R, Alarcón, and I'm the creator of IamHappiest.com. Hashtag IamHappiest. I get to write my first book, of course, about happiness. So allow me to ask you a question. We're going to start off this talk a little bit about sadness. So have you ever been a part of this experience where, a lot of people call the valley, where you feel like your spirit is sinking? You feel like the thoughts that you're thinking are the most disempowering thoughts you've thought of. You feel like physically you can't even get out of bed, let alone face the day, let alone do something, because you have very little energy. Emotionally, you're sad, and you can see it in your eyes, and everybody else could see it too. So I ask you, have you ever been there? Have you ever experienced that? If you haven't, it's really possible that you can. And if you have, then you know what I'm talking about. So I feel like when people actually experience that, I feel like everybody has the ability to. Something or someone was effing with your joy. And what I do when that happens is I say, hold up, back up off me, don't F with my joy. And most of the time, I'm saying that to myself. Because, let's be real, most of the time, it's our own negative thoughts that we have to walk away from and say, don't F with my joy. So I have walked away from professional contacts because they were effing with my joy. I have walked away from employment because it was effing with my joy. I have walked away from romantic relationships because it was effing with my joy. What I've learned after all that is how to walk away from myself with my own negative thoughts. So now we get to talk about happiness. Now, when we talk about happiness, this is the Abraham Hicks publication. And you see the downward spiral, you see the upward spiral. What I just spoke about the past minute or so is the downward spiral. And what I'm about to speak about is the upward. And so you'll see the word contentment at the bottom of this spiral going up. Towards the top, it's joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation. So let's talk about contentment. So here's another question for you. Have you ever looked around in your life and you're like, emotionally, I'm good. Romantically, I'm set. Physically, I'm happy. Spiritually, things are working out. Financially, I could smile. And you look around and you give yourself a pat on the back because you're doing a good job. And you can smile about it. So if you've been there, congratulations, because it's about to get even happier. And if you're beyond that point, congratulations, because it's about to get even happier. So I like the idea of happiest. I'm fascinated by it. I'm dedicating my entire life to it, and I have been for a decade. Since I was 19, I've been living out my dreams. I said, what do I dream about today? And I go get it. And it happens year after year after year, and life has been extraordinary because of that. And so inside of me living out those dreams, I have felt this feeling. Now let me describe it to you. It's that feeling of nirvana. It's that feeling of bliss. It's that feeling of heaven. It's that feeling of heaven on earth. It's that feeling of like sweet joy trapped, right? It's happiest. It's way more than happiness. So allow me to ask you a question. Have you ever been in an experience where you're like, oh my goodness, this is the best feeling ever. This is epic. This is more than joy. This is beyond what I can describe right now. I'm loving this moment. Somebody pinch me, right? Sometimes that moment lasts 2 seconds. Sometimes it lasts 2 minutes. It's that moment that I felt again and again and again over the past 10 years, where I was like, this is almost ridiculous. I need a word for this. I need to identify a word in the English language to describe what I feel, right? And so I chose happiest. And then I said, I want other people to feel this so often that they can't even keep count anymore. That they wake up knowing that it's going to happen. That they can honestly say, I am happiest. More than happy. So that's the top of the spiral. So let's talk about our future for a second. The vision I have is to create the happiest life. And the vision that I have includes taking others with me, like an elevator up. Because honestly, that party is really lonely if I'm there by myself. Let's be real. I need people. I need a lot of people. Because I want a really big party. And so I ask you this question. I want to create this with others. So I asked you this question. What does the happiest life look like for you? And we break it down to different levels. And here are a couple of levels. What does your happiest life look like financially? So you look at your bank account, I'm like, I'm happiest. What does it look like emotionally? What does it look like romantically? What does it look like physically? What does it look like spiritually? For you. And imagine all those pieces put together, creating the happiest life. And in each level, plus every other level that exists that I haven't mentioned here, right? Imagine all those pieces together, aligned, where you're feeling happiest on each level all the time, as much as humanly possible for years and decades, where you wake up feeling like you have $1 million in your bank account and you're about to go to Maui, Hawaii every day. I know it's possible. I completely feel it. And so that's the question I pose to you. David Burke says, we can shoot for something higher than happiness. So let's do that. So what is my desire for you? When we are all ignited together and at the same time, we can create humankind happiness. So my desire for you is to love your life. Then it's to fall in love with your life. Then it's to be in love with your life. Then it's to be so in love with your life that you choose to create the happiest life. And your life is so rich that you can authentically and organically from your gut scream, I am happiest. Thank you.